Hey friends! In today's video, we are talking all about eye makeup for mature skin. This video is packed with all my do's and don'ts, tips and tricks for eye makeup for mature skin. So we're talking about brows, we're talking about eyeshadow, we're talking about eyeliner, we're talking about lashes, we're talking about concealer, everything around the eye area. Before we get started, I want to mention that BK Beauty is having a Valentine's Day sale right now. You can get 15% off site-wide with code VDAY. And in addition to that, when you spend $100 or more on the website, you get our brand new eyelash curler for free, you guys. A free gift when you spend $100 or more and 15% off site-wide. So I'll have all the details down in the description box. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started. For today's video, we are going to be focusing mainly on the eye area. So that includes underneath the eye where we apply concealer, that includes the eyebrows, and that includes all the makeup that we apply on the eyelid. If you guys want to see a video that goes in more depth about complexion products like foundation, powder, bronzer, blush, all of those products, then drop a comment in the comment section down below and let me know. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with brows. Brows is kind of this natural step that I go into. It's one of the first steps when I do my makeup after I've applied my foundation. Now let's talk about brows and mature eyes. So brows are an area that I feel get overlooked pretty easily, and this is an area that we definitely don't want to overlook. It really is like the frame for your eyes. Brows can really help lift the eye area and draw attention to give a more lifted look to the eye. A lot of times our brows are not even. You can see in my brows, I have one brow that kind of is not, what's the word? I don't like the word sag, but it kind of sags a little lower. This brow's lifted a little bit higher. They're not the same shape. They're kind of similar, but they're obviously different. I don't have a lot of brow. My brow hair kind of stopped growing a couple years ago and it's thin and sparse. So I want to create more shape to the brow, and I also want to create the illusion of more hair to the brow. So not only am I trying to sketch a pretty shape, but I'm trying to give a more full look, like there's actually hair there and not just makeup. So I think the most common mistake that I see is that we just kind of overlook the brows all as a whole. The other next mistake that I see a lot is on the other opposite end of the spectrum, and that is going way too strong and heavy with the brow. Either the products that you're using are just too dark, you're just having too much of a heavy hand, or you're just using too much product. So let's talk about how dark brows can really kind of age us. And I'm not saying dark brows, I guess I should say too dark of brows, right? For your coloring, your hair coloring. They really must kind of, you want them to, they're important, they do frame the eye, but you don't want them to like steal the show. You don't want them to be the focus of the face, right? If everyone's just being drawn to your brow, then we're probably doing something wrong. The main theme that you're going to see in this video is just keeping things soft around the eye. We don't want anything that looks harsh, heavy, or too strong, and that includes brows. So I'm going to go in with a brow pencil. I am loving the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil. I use a few other brow pencils. You'll see throughout my videos if you watch my content that I kind of get onto one product and I use that product for several months and then I kind of find another one. This has been the product I've been using more recently. I really like this pencil, and what I like about it is I like that it has a very fine tip. It has a very precise little tip, so I can really create the look of hair with this. It's not a heavy, thick tip. And I also like that it's pretty pigmented, so I don't have to push really hard to get the product to show up on the skin. If you find that you have a pencil formula that's very dry and you're finding that you have to put a lot of pressure, find another option, because that is how you're going to end up in too strong browville. I just made that up. But you're going to end up with too heavy brows if you're putting too much pressure. So find something that allows you to have a very lightweight stroke, but it still applies the product on the skin. So what I like to do first is I like to go in and comb my brows with the spoolie that comes on the other side of the brow pencil, just to kind of get the hair going in one direction. And I'm just going to start by creating the shape. So I always start here at the bulk of my brow. If you notice, I'm actually holding the pencil pretty far back. Try to avoid holding it really close up. If you hold it really close up, you're more likely to put too much pressure and make the brow too strong. Holding it further back, it just kind of makes it much harder to apply too much pressure and be too strong. So I'm just kind of sketching this in with really light little strokes, just kind of filling in the area of the brow. Now when I need to go and create part of the brow that's not there, you got to be careful there, because that's where you also want to avoid being too strong. So right here, I don't have much brow hair, so I need to actually create the look of brow hair. And I'm going to softly kind of sketch up to look like the brow hair is growing upward, because that's kind of naturally how the brow hair would grow. Now don't get caught up on perfection, because that is also how you can get too heavy with the brow. So just kind of, remember your brows are sisters. They're not twins, but they also shouldn't be distant cousins. So they should look like each other, but they don't have to be exactly perfectly the same, okay? Now I'm gonna go right here to the arch and kind of softly lift that up a little bit to give a little more shape there. And if you notice, I am actually following my natural brow, just enhancing my natural brow shape. I'm not going and trying to create something that's not there. I'm not trying to create like a completely different looking brow than I naturally have. I'm just using what I have and enhancing it slightly. I think that's the best way just to get really soft, natural looking brows, okay? All right, so now I've created the shape so you can see the two brows. You can see that this one's more defined, it's got more shade. Let's go and do the other side. Now for me, I have a two-step process to my eyebrows. After this, I'm gonna go in with a brow gel. Now, you might not need the brow gel. I need the brow gel because not only do I need to create shape with a brow pencil, but like I said, I have to go create volume too because I don't have much brow hair. You might find that you've got full brows and very, full fluffy brows, but you just have a few spots that need to be filled in with the pencil. And in that case, you just need to use the pencil. You don't need the brow gel. I need both though, so it's going to be a very personalized approach to your brows. I think that's the next piece of advice I have is really evaluate the products that you need for your features rather than, watch a video and think you need everything that that person is using. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I've got my shape in. Now, if you feel like the color might be too dark or a little too strong, I think this is actually slightly darker. I have two shades that I wear in this, and I think this is the darker shade. I'm gonna go in with the spoolie, and I'm just gonna kind of comb through just to give a little bit of a softer look to this. By doing this, there's no makeup on this. This is just a dry, clean spoolie. This just softens it and makes it a little less defined. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my brow gel, and I have two here that I wanted to share with you. One is one of my favorites, and it's very, very affordable. It's from e.l.f. It's the Wow Brow, and I use the shade Taupe. And then I also have the Kosas Air Brow, and I've been using this one. I'm going to use this one today. I love these both. They both give volume. They have little fibers to them, so they actually create the look of hair, which is really nice because it looks natural. So I'm going to go in, and I like to choose a gel that's a little bit lighter than the pencil. So if you look at this color, you can see that it's a little lighter than the darkest part of my hair, than my natural hair color. I want it to just give a little lighter look, and I'm just going to really go in here and kind of back comb it here in the fluffy part of my brow, and then go back and comb it in place. This is going to give more volume, it's going to give the illusion of hair, and it's also going to hold your hair in place. So if you have brows that grow down or a little unruly, this gel is going to hold them in place. So just give you a nice, clean, polished brow. But again, the goal with your brows is to keep them soft. We don't want them to look too intentional and too heavy, okay? So that's the advice for brows. You can always go back with your finger and kind of soften it if you need to, but this is actually kind of a stronger brow for me, but I still think it looks very good. Okay, let's talk about concealer. That is the next area that I think we really need to address, especially as we get older. This is where we definitely need to change not only the products that we're using, but how we apply those products. So under eye concealer, I don't have any concealer or anything underneath my eye. I did apply foundation, but I stopped right about here. So whenever I go in and apply my concealer, I always want to prep the under eye skin first. The under eye skin underneath our eyes is the thinnest and driest on the face. So it is why we see the most signs of aging there. That is why we start to see fine lines and wrinkles develop there first before anywhere else on the face, because the skin's dry and it's thin, and it's also the place on our face where we're the most expressive. We're laughing, we're angry, we're doing all the things with our face, and it starts to show. So first thing is keeping the skin hydrated. You want to prep the under eyes with something to hydrate the skin and plump up those fine lines and that texture, and get it ready for makeup, concealer. Now you can use an eye cream. My advice would be not to use an eye cream that's too heavy, not to use it too close to when you apply your eye makeup. If you apply your skincare in the morning and then 2 hours go by before you apply your makeup, by all means you can use that eye cream and I'm sure it's going to be just fine. But if you're looking for a product to apply just before concealer, you want to stick with something that's pretty lightweight. I love a good hyaluronic acid serum. This one's from Colleen Rothschild. It's just a hyaluronic serum. This one is great. I also pulled this face primer that I have from Dior. It's like a plumping all over face primer. This one works great for under the eyes too. You don't need these two products. You can really find something at home that you already have. Again, the goal is just to find something that's going to hydrate, but that doesn't feel very heavy. So hyaluronic serums are a pretty safe bet because they're really designed to be lightweight. They're designed to be that step between your cleanser and your moisturizer, so they're not as heavy as moisturizers. Now I'm just going to go underneath the eye and apply that, and I'm actually going to apply a little bit more. My skin is dry today. Just kind of apply that underneath. It's very cooling too. It feels great. So this is just going to hydrate and plump up those lines. Now I'm going to go in with my concealer before this has time to completely just soak up in my skin. Concealer selection is super important, you guys. Best piece of advice is don't go with something that's heavier and more coverage than you need, okay? Concealer by design is going to be more pigmented, it's going to be more full coverage, it's going to be heavier than any other complexion product that you use. It is designed to be highly pigmented, highly concentrated, right? So you don't really need a lot, and even more lighter weight concealers are going to give you more coverage than like a normal foundation. So keep that in mind. I also like to find concealers that are hydrating, but that don't stay too creamy and too emollient on the skin, because again, that creaminess is more likely to kind of find its way into a little little crease or a little fine line, and then you've got creasing. So you have to find a good balance of concealers that are lightweight, that are hydrating, but that also set and stay in place pretty well. I have two options for you. There are many options. I have shared so many concealers here on my channel that I love. These are just two that I was looking through my drawer, and they were kind of the first two that jumped out as me as like, oh, those are good options. I have a drugstore option for you. This is the Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer. I always recommend this and love this, especially for mature skin. Very hydrating, very creamy, lightweight, absolutely beautiful. Very, just one of the top concealers in my opinion. I'm the shade Bisque, light medium in this one. And then the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear. This is a really great long wearing concealer, very lightweight. I know this is a favorite for mature skin as well. I wouldn't say it's as creamy and hydrating as the Neutrogena. It's not drying either though, but it's definitely not as like hydrating as the Neutrogena. Very long wearing though, without looking heavy or like creasy and cakey. We're gonna go in with this one today. It's been a while since I used this one, so we're gonna use this one. Now, application is important here too, you guys. Also color selection, very important. You wanna find a concealer that is a little bit lighter than your skin tone, but you don't wanna go too light, you guys. If you have dark circles and you take something that is too light and you put it on there, it's like putting white pantyhose over a bruise. You're not fooling anybody. You're gonna be left with a gray looking cast underneath the eye. It's just not cute, right? You need something that is deep enough and warm enough to neutralize and cancel out that darkness. So if you are someone that likes, like, Lisa, I love a bright under eye. I want the under eye area to look a lot brighter. Totally get that. You still need to go in with something that is a little bit deeper to neutralize and cover that darkness, and then go in with a lighter brightener to get that bright effect. I am using the shade 260 in this, and I am going to apply a little bit in the inner corner. Just a little bit. Do you see how it has a peachy undertone? That peachy undertone is designed to neutralize and cancel out blue, green, purple, which we kind of have underneath the eyes if we have dark eyes. And I'm going to put a little bit right here. I'm going to lift the eye here. I saw a makeup artist that I follow, and I think she's just a celebrity makeup artist. She was like, don't do your concealer like this. And she did exactly what I'm doing. And I kind of chuckled a little bit because there are so many makeup hacks and tips and tricks out there. And I think we've kind of gotten into this cycle of like trying to create content that gets shared and saved and makes us question everything that we do, because that's what gets people engaged in content. Because I really couldn't understand why this is a bad idea to apply concealer here. I really don't understand it. The reason I'm applying it here is because I have darkness in the inner corner. I have like a little tint of green vein there. And then I like to apply it here because I like to lift the eye. Now, I don't recommend taking concealer and spreading the whole applicator underneath your eye and then having product all underneath the eye. You're going to apply way more product than you need that way. I recommend taking product, applying it here on the inner corner, outer corner, or if you want to just do a couple of dots, do whatever you want. But the point is don't apply it, don't slather it all underneath the eye. Just put a few dots or put it in a 2 areas and then spread that product together and then blend out. So I'm actually going to use the N16 to blend these sides together. Okay, I'm going to blend the inner corner and the outer corner together. Just to kind of, that way I have coverage all the way underneath the eye, but I didn't overuse product. I'm just going to kind of spread these together just to mix them up, and there we go. Now we've got a good bit of coverage. Now I'm going to let this sit for a second, and then I'm going to go in and just kind of buff it into the skin. I'm going to let it dry for like, this one doesn't need a whole lot of dry time because it actually sets pretty well. So even honestly, this 5-10 seconds is great. I'm going to go in with the N14, and I'm just going to bounce that right on top to blend it in. I love this brush for this little trick here because it will just push that product into the skin to give the most natural, beautiful blend, but you're not going to sacrifice coverage. You're still going to get that full coverage, but you're not going to have any excess product sitting on the skin that later ends up in creases and fine lines. It's like a tiny little beauty blender or like a beauty sponge. If you like to use a beauty sponge for blending in your concealer, I think the N14 is a good option. The N14 or our 110. Our 110 is similar too. The 110 is even actually a little bit larger than this, but the N14 is a good option. Either one, you can't go wrong. Okay, tap, 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 tap. Perfect. Okay, then I'm gonna take my brush and I'm just running it on a little dry paper towel. Anything soft and to kind of remove any excess concealer. And I'm gonna go in one more time and I'm gonna tap, 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 tap. Perfect. Okay, and then I'm gonna just spread any excess onto the eyelid. Lovely. So we have got concealed full coverage underneath the eyes, but it doesn't look heavy and it doesn't feel heavy. Yes, it's lightweight. It's beautiful. It's just as much coverage as we need without any excess. That's the theme of today. No excess. Use what you need, but no more than what you need, especially concealer, you guys, and definitely foundation. But this video is not about foundation. If you want a foundation video, leave me a comment and I will make one. But this video is all about the eyes. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about how to set the under eyes since we're still on the under eye area. I do think it's important to use a little bit of powder underneath the eyes. And I think this is one of those steps that people really kind of struggle with because I hear a lot of times, no matter what powder I use, it just makes it look heavy and dry and accentuates texture. Here's my thought on that. Let me rewind. I just said that I think everyone needs to set with powder. Let me retract that. I'm gonna retract that right now. Try without powder. Try it and find a concealer to apply underneath the eye, get the coverage, and don't set with powder, okay? There's no hard rules to makeup, you guys. There's no hard rules to makeup, okay? See how the finish is without powder. See how it wears throughout the day. Is it creasing or moving underneath the eye, or does it look great? If it looks great, then don't use powder. You don't need it. What I find is that no matter what concealer I use, no matter how great I blend, sometimes I just end up with a little bit underneath the eye. Or another problem that arises when I don't use a powder underneath the eyes is when I use an eyeliner, like whether it's a gel or a pencil, or maybe it's mascara. I look in the mirror in a few hours and I see, oh, I've got black stuff underneath my eye. And usually what that is it's the concealer is kind of mixing with the pigments in the mascara or the eyeliner, whatever that is, and it's kind of become now this like creamy product that's now transferring. So powder for me just ensures I don't deal with creasing with my concealer, and I also I put a little barrier between my concealer and any other eye makeup that I'm going to use on the lower lash line. So that's why I believe powder is important, but like I said, try without it and see if you have any issue. If you don't have any issue, don't use it. Now, if you're going to use it, find a powder that is very, very fine and lightweight, very, very finely milled, not heavy. You want it to almost look like it. I'm using the Huda Beauty, the Easy Bake Powder. I love this one. If I tap this, I'm going to step back so I don't get this all over my phone and all over my stuff. If I tap this and I look, I can see in the air, I can see the particles. It is so fine. It almost just looks like fog. That's how fine it is. It's not like heavy, thick powder particles. Okay, so you want to tap off the excess. To avoid the mess, just use the lid that it comes in, tap off the excess. You can even use the palm of your hand too. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to just press right underneath the eye on top of that concealer. And I'm just pressing, pressing, pressing. Okay, I'm not going back and forth and dragging the brush. I don't want to move the concealer around. I just want to set it, okay? And I just need a little bit. I don't need much. I'm not baking. Don't bake. Baking is not our friend, you guys. It is not. It's just not. I mean, if you are, I see like a lot of celebrity makeup artists bake, and you have to keep in mind, it's a completely different type of makeup. You know, when you are doing a celebrity's makeup, if they're getting on stage and they're performing, you know, like I think of Scott Barnes. I went to a Scott Barnes masterclass, and let's just all agree Scott Barnes is incredibly talented, an amazing makeup artist. He used so much powder on his model that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine using that much powder. But then you have to think about it. Scott Barnes is doing Jennifer Lopez's makeup while she's on stage performing for hours, sweating under all the lights. Like that's a totally different style of makeup than me putting my makeup on to, you know, go pick my kids up from school or to go to dinner with my girlfriends, right? So keep that in mind. Now I just like to set underneath the eye, and then I actually like to take whatever's left on my brush and just kind of run it in the forehead. Again, we're not going to get too far into the rest of the makeup because I want to keep this focused on eyes, but I always do this when I set underneath my eyes. This is that extra little step I do. So let's recap real quickly for the under eye concealer setting with powder. You want to find a powder that's very finely milled and very lightweight. I also would look for powders that give a blurring effect. The Huda Beauty Easy Bake is a really great one. It really does blur the skin and just minimize the look of texture, whether that's pores or fine, delicate little lines. It softens everything, but you don't want to overuse it. Too much of any powder is not good. I could make this powder look horrific on me if I wanted to, guys. I really could. I love this powder, but it could look terrible real quick if I went in there and I baked and I grabbed a puff and I slathered it on and I let it sit there for 20 minutes and then I brushed it off. On camera, it would look flawless, but if you came up close to me with a mirror, you would just be like, oh, it looks like she has a mask. It looks like you could just peel it off of my face. So keep that in mind, okay? Less is more. Okay, you guys, let's take a little tea break. Okay, let's talk about eyeshadow. This is the fun part. So with eyeshadow, I have found as I get older, by the way, I'm 42 years old. I find as I get older, now when I look at my eyelids, I don't see a lot of texture on my eyelids, to be honest. I don't have a lot of texture or crepiness on the lid yet. I know it's coming, but it's not quite here yet. But what I have noticed is that my eyelids, they just don't hold powder shadow like they used to. They just don't. I used to be able to do the most beautiful powder looks with like, 3 to 6 different eyeshadows, and it was flawless and beautiful and, looked great all day. And that does not happen anymore. It doesn't. I find that I put on powder eyeshadow. If it's all powder eyeshadow, I'll put on a powder eyeshadow look and I'll look in the mirror in like a couple of hours and it just is fading. It doesn't stay. It looks drier on the eyelid. The eyelid looks drier. So not to say I don't use powder eyeshadows. I do, but I really have leaned into more cream products and mixing both together. I've also simplified my eye makeup look, to be honest, you guys. And I think you guys see it here. If you follow my channel, you're not following me because I create these really, glam artistic eye looks. That's just not me. My eye looks are all pretty simple. They're all pretty wearable. They're all very similar. So some people might find that boring, but this is real life. This is how I really do my makeup. So simplicity, less eyeshadow, less product on the eyes, mostly cream or liquid shadows, and then incorporating and mixing some powder into that is kind of the direction that I've gone now with my eyes. If I am going to do an all powder look, which rarely happens, but if I do, super, super important to always put a good eyeshadow primer down first for the eyeshadow to adhere to, something for that shadow to stick to so that I don't waste all this time doing this beautiful eye makeup look only for it to fade in a couple hours. But let's talk about cream shadows and some of my favorite products. I have lots of favorites, you guys, so this is not an exhaustive list, but I did grab a couple. And of course, I wanted to grab a drugstore option for you. And then one of my favorite Longwear cream shadow sticks. I think you guys know what it is, but it's just the best in my opinion. So I grabbed this little pot from Revlon. This is this isn't my favorite shade. I thought this was my favorite shade. Okay, this is a cream eyeshadow from Revlon, and I love the shade Caramel. This is not caramel. I thought this was caramel when I grabbed it. Caramel's beautiful. It's the most beautiful soft bronze shade. This is Praline. Okay, we're not going to use this one today because I thought this was caramel, but I do want to share this. This is a really great product. This has shimmer to it, but it's also very soft and very refined shimmer. So it's not heavy flecks of shimmer or flecks of glitter, which you want to avoid, especially if you have texture on the eyelids. You want to avoid really heavy shimmer, really heavy metallics. Not to say you can't use shimmer or you have to use all mattes. Absolutely not. But you want to find ones that just are very, very refined and just really just more pearls. That's what you want to find. You want to find more pearl formulas versus real heavy shimmers. Okay, so then let's go in with what I did bring that I love. The Bobbi Brown Longwear Cream Shadow Sticks. I love a good cream stick. I love them. They're just so great, and there's so many. Laura Mercier makes great ones. Jane Iredale makes great ones. Bobbi Brown has been kind of my holy grail formula for a long time. This is just so creamy, and it glides onto the skin so easily, and you have plenty of time to blend it out, but once it sets, it stays in place. I have the shade Golden Bronze here. This is one of my favorites. And I'm actually going to take this all over the lid, you guys. This has shimmer to it, as you can see, but it's very, very refined. It is shimmery, though. It's not a soft shimmer. I mean, you got a lot of shimmer here, but it's just very refined. So I'm going to do one eye, and then I'm going to go in, blend out the edge. I'm actually going to use the N16 again. This is my favorite brush for this product, or for any cream or liquid shadow. I'm just going to use the tip of this brush to kind of blend it out. Okay. And you're left with this really pretty, soft, taupey eye. Now this is about as dark as I'm gonna go. The next step that I wanna share with you when it comes to eye makeup is to avoid really heavy, dark shadows. When you go really heavy on the eye with liner or with shadow, it really makes the eye look heavy and smaller and it closes it up. You know, as we age and our eyelids kind of sink a little bit, or they're a little more crepey, or they're sagging a little bit, the eyes are naturally gonna look a little bit smaller than they did when we were younger. And so we don't wanna use shadows that make them look even smaller. So if you go too heavy, too dark, that can do that. So this is about as dark as I'm gonna go. And this is, you know, pretty deep. It definitely gives you that kind of smoky vibe, but I usually don't go darker than this. Okay, and again, I'm gonna take that brush and I'm gonna blend this out before it has time to set. Perfect. Now, when it comes to eye makeup, keep in mind, this is just kind of one look. You don't feel like you need to do this exact look with this exact shade. I'm talking more specifically about formulas and kind of products to avoid and products to use, but don't think that you need to create this color scheme. If this color scheme is not for you and you like a lighter color on the lid, you know, you can take these same applications and use a lighter shade. I like to really sheer out the color on my eyelid, again, for just the purpose of not creating something that's too heavy on the eye. I also love to apply a shadow underneath the brow to lift and highlight, but you want to be soft and careful with it. You don't want it to be too stark white or, again, too heavy shimmery. Sometimes you can even use a face powder that you have that's a little bit lighter than your skin tone, just to kind of pop that. Just something that's a little bit lighter to lift the brow. What do I have here? Do I have something here? I do. I have this shade in my Surratt palette. Yeah, so I'm going to use this shade right here, you guys. And I'm using a tiny little brush again so I can really control that. This is the BK Beauty 209. And I'm just going to pop this right underneath the brow. This is a really beautiful pearl formula. Do you see what that does? It just highlights the brow and kind of lifts it up a little bit. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take that same shade. And again, you don't need this specific shade. These are sold individually and they're pretty pricey if I recall from Sephora. But so any shade like this is just like a pearl. It's like an oyster pearl shade. And I'm just going to take the same brush. We're going to pop a little bit of this right here in the inner corner of the eye just to lighten and brighten that area. And then I'm going to bring that highlight right here kind of on the side of the nose. This was a little tip I learned from Nikki LaRose last year. And I love it. It just really opens the eyes and makes them look more youthful, awake, and wide-eyed. Okay, let's talk about eyeliner. Eyeliner is so important, you guys. This is definitely a part of my application of my eye makeup that has changed over the years. I have really shifted away from black eyeliner. I wear black eyeliner maybe 3 times a year if I have some performance, or I say performance like I have performances all the time, but like I did Dancing with the Stars in December. I wore black eyeliner for that. Maybe if I have a photo shoot for a campaign, I might wear a little bit of black eyeliner at the base, but I really don't wear black eyeliner. I really look for rich shades like browns, like a rich brown, or a rich like aubergine, or even navy, just shades that'll still give me that definition without being as heavy as black. I have lighter features though, you know, I have highlights in my hair, kind of light medium skin tone. Obviously that's going to be, you know, different if you have deeper skin tones, deeper hair, deeper eye color. I think black works on someone with those features much better than it does on myself. But I will say, I think that we can find liners that still give us that definition that are a little bit softer. So shade and color is one thing. Also, the formulas that you use and the style that you use for your eyeliner is really important. Now, I like eye pencils. I like gel liners. I love these little Color Fix from Danessa Myricks. These are a little trickier, I think, for everyone to use. They're not trickier, but maybe not a more practical product for everyday use. But I'm saying all this to say that I have several different types of formulas that I love. I love gel liners, I love pencil eyeliners, but I like to look for liners, especially pencils that are creamy, that give me time to spread and manipulate it a little bit and work with it. I also don't take my eyeliner all the way over to the inner corner to the outer corner. I think unless you have really large eyes that you're trying to create more of an almond shape or kind of minimize them a little bit, keep in mind, if you take your liner all the way over, it's going to close off the eye and make the eye look a little bit smaller. So I really try and focus my eyeliner to be the middle half, to the outer half, okay? So today I'm using the Trish McEvoy Intense Gel Eyeliner in the shade Deep Aubergine. I love this formula. It's very creamy, so you have time to smudge it, smoke it out, wing it out if you want to. But then once it dries, it sets and it stays in place, so it doesn't really move and make a mess throughout the day. But it's very creamy, so it also glides onto the skin really easily. If you have a pencil that's really dry and you have to like really go to your eye. First of all, our eyes are sensitive. Nobody wants to do that. So you need something that's very pigmented and very creamy. Okay, if you notice, I have a pretty sharp tip to this pencil. I'm going to link my Persona sharpener. I don't think I have it here with me, but the Persona pencil sharpener, oh my gosh, it's the best, you guys, the best. So grab a couple, grab one for your eyeliners, grab one for your lip liners. Now I like to lay it on its side. And I'm just going to create this line. I want it to be thinner as I'm here in the middle, and then it's okay if it's a little thicker when I get out here to the outer half of the eye. It's okay if it's a little thicker. Now, don't stress about making this line perfect. If you notice, I'm not even securing my eye with my other hand. I'm just going to town here and hoping for the best, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys two eyeliner techniques, okay? I'm going to show you two options. If you like a really defined line like this and you don't want it to be too smudged and smoky, this tip's for you. So I'm going to take the 208 brush, the BK Beauty 208. And I'm going to work quickly before this liner dries, but you see how tiny that is? It's a little angle brush. And I'm going to run it right on top of this eyeliner, and I'm going to extend that wing out. Oh, I hope you saw that. I hope we zoomed in right there. Did you guys just see what happened? Do you see how easy that was? That was so easy. So I just took this brush. I didn't have any makeup on this brush. I just took a clean brush and I went right over that eyeliner, and I just created the most perfect, subtle little baby wing. And that's it. That's what I'm doing, okay? I'm elongating and I'm lifting the eye, and it couldn't be easier. It couldn't. It's so easy. This is like makeup for beginners. It's so easy, you guys. So that is one style of liner that works beautifully for mature eyes, and it is so easy. All you need is a good eyeliner pencil. Grab this one, it's my favorite, and a good brush, the 208. You cannot go wrong. These are a match made in heaven. Okay, now let me show you another option if you want a bit more of a smoky kind of look to the eye. Both of them are beautiful for mature eyes, so either one will work. I do them both. It just depends on the day. Same eyeliner, different brush. So I'm going to take this liner and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of work it onto the lash line, the middle to the outer half. And I'm kind of putting enough on there so that I have some product to move around, okay? All right. It's definitely not perfect. If you zoom in close, you can kind of see that it's a little messy. It's not perfect. Now I'm going to go in with this N12 brush, you guys. This little N12 smudger brush. This is just, I love this brush. It's the perfect smudger brush. And I'm just going to work this right into the lash line. Just kind of working that product in, pressing it into the skin, smudging it, making a little softer liner. Now it's still defined. You still see that color and that definition, but it's a little softer edges, I should say. And again, on the outer half, it's going to be thicker. I'm going to kind of work that in to give it a little more thickness there. You can actually to extend this if you want a little bit of a kind of to pull out the shadow a little bit. Do you see? You can still extend this, but this is very different than this, right? But they're both a softer look to the liner. Which one do you like better? I don't know which one I like better. I actually kind of do this one more often. This is what I do on myself more often right now. This is what I'm feeling lately. And of course, when you have mascara on, it's going to look a little bit different. But these two brushes, I think we all need them. But I think anyone over 40, you need both these brushes. They're so, so good. Works great with eye kohls. It also works great with gel eyeliners, like in a pot. They both work really great with this. So yeah, those are the two little eyeliner. Look at the difference between the two. Which one's your favorite? Drop a comment, let me know. Okay, now let's talk about lashes. All right, you guys, and I'm super excited, you guys, because we're having a promo today. I mentioned this in the intro of the video, but we have a promo going on BK Beauty right now. So you guys know we just recently launched the lash curler last month. Right now, you can get a free lash curler, a free BK Beauty lash curler with gift with purchase when you spend $100 or more on the BK Beauty site, you guys. That's such a great value. This is a $24 product, and you get it for free when you spend $100. And on top of that, we're doing 15% off site-wide for Valentine's Day right now on bkbeauty.com. So go head over there. Okay, so curling the lashes is a step that we should all be doing. We really should. It makes such a difference. And I'm guilty of like not doing this all the time, but I have started to more recently. And it really does make the biggest difference for you guys. It really lifts the lashes, opens up the eye, gives a more youthful look to the eye. So just a simple quick curl right before mascara. And I promise you, it makes all the difference. So I'm gonna go in with a lash primer first. I always use my lash primers. I love the Dior. It's my favorite. I need to purchase a new one. My next favorite runner-up is the Jane Iredale lash primer. So I'm gonna go in with that. I have a good fresh tube here, and I'm gonna apply a little bit of lash primer. A good lash primer is not only gonna magnify the lashes and make them just look more full, but it's also gonna condition your lashes. It's gonna have ingredients in there that are good for the health of your lashes. So I don't know about you, but as I have gotten older, my lashes have definitely gotten thinner, shorter. It takes a lot of work and products to keep them full, you guys. It takes a whole routine. Okay, for mascaras, I don't think it gets better than this mascara, you guys. For everybody, for any age. I don't care if you're 10 years old. Well, maybe 10's a little too young. I don't care if you're 18 years old or you're 98 years old. This mascara is so good. But especially for mature eyes, I love this mascara because it gives the most beautiful wispy looking lash. What is a wispy looking lash, you say? Wispy looking lashes are full. They have length and volume, and they just have this soft, airy look to them. They don't look like hard, clumpy mascara. It doesn't look like you can go over there and snap the lashes in half. It looks like if you actually touch the lashes, they'd be soft and fluffy and youthful. That's what I love. I love this mascara. The wand does a great job of really fanning out and separating the lashes. So you just get this really beautiful fanned out lash, which gives a very wide eye look. Now you don't need to spend all this time building, but I love applying mascara, so I'm going to take my time. I always recommend starting here at the root, wiggling back and forth while your eyes kind of close, just to get as much product off the wand onto the lashes if you can, and then pull up. So really look for mascaras that are lengthening and volumizing. You don't have to use this one, but look for lengthening and volumized mascaras, because as we get older, our lashes, like I said, they get thinner, they don't grow like they used to, and we need that volume. I would rather have more volume than length, honestly, but when you can get it both, that's a win. Okay, perfect. Now, you guys might notice I haven't done anything on the lower lash line yet. Nothing. We haven't done anything. This is a very, very important part of the process, in my opinion. I very rarely take the same liner that I took on my upper lid and put it on my lower lash line. Sometimes I'll do a little tiny dab of it and then I'll just smudge it out with a brush. I really want my lower lash line to be soft, you guys. I don't want it to be heavy. So a lot of times what I'll do is I will take my N12 brush and I'll just take a shadow, maybe even a bronzer, just something that is, I'm gonna go with the shade right here. Something that has a little bit of a shimmer to it, not too dark. I don't want anything this dark, but I do want something that's gonna give a little definition. You could even use the Bobbi Brown Longwear Cream Shadow Stick underneath there. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's a little bit warmer, a little bronzy. And I'm just gonna apply it right underneath the lash line. I'm not going all the way over for the same reasons that I didn't on top. I don't wanna close the eye off, okay? Now, this brush had a little bit of that eye kohl pencil, so it kind of applied it a little darker than I wanted. I'm going to go in with a clean brush. This is the 207, and I'm just going to go in with this, and I'm just going to smudge it, soften it. I don't want it to be heavy. I don't want it to be harsh. I want it to be soft. Perfect. Yay. Okay, there we go. So we have some definition, but it's much softer. And I always put a little bit mascara, but the key is a little bit. I don't load up the mascara like I did on my upper lashes, you guys. I definitely don't. I just want the softest little kiss of mascara to even out and balance out the lashes, but I don't want it to be heavy down there for a few reasons. One, it just drags the eye down, but also you will likely end up with darkness, raccoon eyes as people call it, if you put too much dark eye makeup on your lower lash line. So keep it light. Keep it light. Okay, you guys, we are done with the eyes. Let me go and finish the rest of my makeup because I'm feeling a little drab here without any blush or bronzer on, lips, and we'll wrap this video up. And this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a tip or two. If you did, will you drop a comment down below and let me know what you picked up from this video, what you learned, or what you're gonna try the next time that you do your eye makeup. And again, if you would like to see a video on complexion, foundation, blush, bronzer, and other parts of the makeup application, drop a comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.